Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I have another sweet recipe to share with you guys. In this video, I'm going to be sharing a recipe for Sirnee. Now, if anybody doesn't know what Sirnee is, it's also known as Halwa in some households, and it is basically a pudding similar to parsad, but this is made during Muslim religious holidays or functions. Now, I know that Eid is coming up, Ramadan is coming to a close, and I wanted to go ahead and be very inclusive on the channel and share a recipe like this. So I want to give a shout out to Rebecca for sharing her version or her recipe for Sirnee, and I'm going to go ahead and put it together and show you guys how it's done. If you want to see how to put it together, keep on watching. The ingredients for Sirnee are quite simple. All you need is some all-purpose flour, some granulated sugar. If you wanted to, you could use brown sugar. I have some nutmeg, some cinnamon sticks, as well as some vanilla, or you can use mixed essence, some raisins and cherries. You can use one or the other or both. I have some unsalted butter. You can also use salted butter if you wish. I have some evaporated milk, or you could use whole milk, and I have some orange soda. Now, I promise you, by adding in that orange soda, you're going to get such a beautiful flavor for the Sirnee. So let's get into making it. The first step when making the Sirnee is to go ahead and melt some butter in your pot. So I have a heavy bottom pot. It's very important you use a heavy bottom pot, because if you use a very thin bottoms pot, it's going to burn as you're cooking it. So in the pot, I'm going to melt the butter, and you want to make sure throughout this entire process that pot stays on a low heat, because if you raise it above a low heat, it is going to get too dark, and for Sirnee, you really want it to be a light color. Now, once you have your pot on a low heat and you're melting that butter, you're going to start on the milk mixture or the wet ingredients. So in a little pot here, I'm adding in my evaporated milk. I've gone in with my raisins. I'm also going in with my cherries, and if you wanted to, you could wash out the cherries so none of that liquid is on it, but I actually enjoy the flavor from the cherries. And I'm also going to go in with my vanilla extract, or you could use the mixed essence or any other type of essences or extracts. And I'm also going to go in with my sugar. And again, you could use brown sugar if you wish. And now I'm going to add in my orange soda. Now, whether or not you want to add the orange soda is up to you. I'll leave a description in the description box down below about how you need to adjust the liquids if you don't want to use the orange soda. But I totally recommend it because it adds such a delicious flavor to the finished Sirnee. I am also going in with some freshly grated nutmeg. Now, I highly recommend freshly grated nutmeg versus the already ground stuff because it adds such a richer flavor to the finished product. I'm also going to go in with my cinnamon stick. I have one cinnamon stick that I basically broke in half, so this way I can get more flavor out of it. And honestly, guys, you can play around with any other spices in this recipe. If you wanted to add some elaichi or cardamom in there, some ground cloves or some whole cloves, whatever floats your boat, go ahead and add it in. Basically, what you want to do is keep this mixture on a very low heat and just allow it to get hot. You do not want it to boil or else it can overboil and get too thick. So by the time you put that milk mixture together, your butter should be fully melted. Now, at this step, you do not want the butter to be bubbling or vigorously boiling or anything like that, because if it is, your Sirnee is going to get very dark. So what I'm going to do is just add in the flour and keep it on that low heat, and I'm going to parch it or patch it or roast it in that pan until the flour is nice and loose. As you guys can see, as I'm mixing it, or when you go ahead and make this and as you're mixing it, you're going to feel that the butter and flour together are pretty heavy when you stir it. But I promise you guys, after a couple of minutes, after about 15 minutes of stirring actually, it will become loose and it will become very light in texture. Now, this is after about 10 minutes of parching the mixture on that low heat. As you guys can see, it's bubbling just slightly. And as I'm stirring it, it's just a little looser on my hand. It is not so hard to mix anymore. So it needs a little longer because I can just see and feel it, but I'll show you guys what to look for when it is finally done. So my mixture has been cooking on a low heat for exactly 15 minutes now. Now, this process might take 15 to 20 minutes, just depending on your stove, the pot you're using, and other factors. Now, as you guys can see, it has very fine bubbles all over the top. It's very liquidy now. It's almost as if we added more liquid, but we didn't. It's just the flour has been cooked out and it became lighter. So at this point, we can go in with our liquids. Now, everybody makes their Sirnee differently. I've heard of so many different variations. If you want your mixture to be very dark in color, go ahead and parch it on a higher heat. But this color is the one that I like. The color that you're going to get is from that orange soda and the juices from the cherry. You're going to get like a nice orangey and reddish color from the Sirnee. So once you add it into the pot, you're going to stir it around. And as you guys can see, mine comes together very, very quickly. Now, if you were using a lighter pot versus one of these Dutch ovens, it might take a little longer to stir, so you would want to keep stirring it until it comes together and it loosens from the sides of the pot. but as you guys can see, mine came together within literally a minute. So after you've stirred your sirni together for a few minutes and it's nice and fluffy and smooth and slightly tacky, but also leaving the sides of the pan, it is done and ready to serve. Make sure you take it off the heat before it dries out too much. Alright guys, the sirni is done and it is ready to serve. Now I wanted to mention before I get all of the comments down below, this is what I know sirni to be. This is the recipe that was shared with me, but I do know that there are so many and countless other variations on how people make sirni. Now, whether you are Guyanese and Trinidadian, the differences may vary there, or even different Guyanese households make it differently. Some people might roll it into balls, some people might spread it into a tray, let it cool, and then cut it out. Some people serve it simply just like this as a pudding. Some people make it stickier than this, some people make it harder and more crumblier than this. Some people make it darker than this. There's so many different variations. So just be respectful in the comments down below. I want to thank Rebecca one more time for sharing her family's recipe on how to make sirni. And I truly appreciate all of you guys who asked in the comments and requested this recipe because my family truly enjoyed it. It was a learning process for me and I loved it because there was so much flavor and so much differences between this and the normal parsad. And before I get all of those comments saying that this is exactly what orange soda parsad is, it's actually not. Orange soda parsad is traditionally not made with milk, it is just made with the orange soda, and it doesn't have all of these spices in it. So it's pretty much different there, and this is actually fluffier than the orange soda parsad that I've had before. So if you enjoyed this recipe, go ahead and give it a nice big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you are not subscribed yet, and go ahead and leave your wonderful comments down below. If you're celebrating Eid or Ramadan or any of those holidays, I hope you enjoy, have a blessed time, and I hope you all are staying safe, staying at home, and I'll see you guys again in my next video.